Okay, so we're going to go over solving equations using fractions. Okay, now the first one's not a fraction, but I want to bring it to your attention just because when we do over algebra rules. Now this says negative 4, and then what's the operation with x? Negative 4 what x?
Times 4.
Yeah.
Times x.
Yeah, so it could be like done in brackets or something like that.
What? How does it do that? How does it do that?
So because it's multiplication, when we move it to the other side, what does it become? Do you remember?
Division.
Yeah, it's right. So we do the opposite of what's there. So when we move that to the other side, it becomes x is equal to 36 divided by negative 4. Okay?
What?
And we bring up a calculator. When we bring up the calculator, what is 36 divided by negative 4? Do you know?
Negative 9.
Yeah, that's right. Negative 9. Okay? So then let's think of the opposite of this. That would be something like this, where we'd have x divided by negative 4 is equal to. So a fraction, or this line here, is what operation? Do you know?
Division.
Yeah, that's division. So if we were to move the 4 to the other side, what is opposite of division?
Multiplication.
That's right. So when it goes to the other side, we have x is equal to 36 multiplied by negative 4. Okay, we did the opposite operation. When we do that, x is going to be equal to, what do we get here?
7.
Let's see, we'll bring it up. 36 times 4.
Okay.
There you go, 144. Okay? So we get negative 144. So the key here is when it says multiplication, that could be represented by an x or with brackets.
Done.
To move the 4 over to the other side, we have to divide. All right? Same idea here. If it says division or even a fraction, to move the number 4 to the other side, we have to multiply. We use the opposite operation. Okay, same type of question. This time the exponent has a negative in front of it. So in order to bring 80 over, what do we have to do?
Multiply.
Yeah, so we got to multiply the other side by 80.
So take
When I
away
bring it over,
what?
the negative n is still negative. Nothing's changed. Negative 30. And instead of using an x, I'm just going to put it in brackets. Okay, so that we know that we multiply by it. So negative 30 times positive 80. What's a negative times a positive?
Negative.
Yeah, so we're going to get negative 2,400. Now, what's actually here is we technically have a negative and there's a 1 here. Okay, so there's just a negative and then an exponent. You can imagine there's a 1 there. So if I have a negative 1, how do I move the negative 1 to the other side? Because we want n to be positive.
Change it to positive.
Okay, but say this was negative 1 times n. If it was times n, what would I have to divide by? If it was multiplied, right? So if I have negative 1 times n, and I want to get n by itself, what do I have to do with this negative 1?
Negative 1 divided by.
Yeah, I'm going to divide it by. So now the n will become positive, and I'm dividing negative 2,400 divided by negative 1. Do you know what that's going to be? I'll bring it up on a calculator. So we have 2,400 negative divided by negative 1 gives us positive 2,400. So our answer in this one is positive 2,400. So anytime you have a negative exponent, so say, let's get another example quickly. Say we had negative x equals negative 5. The quick way of doing this, what is x going to equal? Just
Negative 5.
positive 5, right? Because we had negative n was negative 2,400. So positive n was positive 2,400. Okay? So there's another example. I want to do one more example with you. And the third example, what if we have this? What if we have negative y is equal to positive 8? What's positive y going to be equal to?
Negative 8.
Yeah, that's right. That's the fast way to do it. Okay? You just bring that over to the other side. All right, the next question, the fraction question, right? So this says 1/3 multiplied by x minus 2. Okay? Now, we could use distributive property, but we don't want to work with fractions. Okay? So I want you to realize this 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. Okay? So when we divide by 3, what this is going to look like is I'm going to change this question around. So it becomes x minus 2 divided by 3. It's the same thing. All I did is I multiplied some fractions, okay? So imagine this bracket was a fraction. I multiplied 1 by the brackets, and that's not going to change anything because 1 times the brackets stays as the brackets, so we get x minus 2. And because this is over 1, 3 times 1 gives us the number 3. Okay, so we have x minus 2 divided by 3 equals 5. Now, this is how we're going to get rid of it. If this is a fraction for division, okay, this is division, how do I move 3 to the other side of the equation? Multiply. So when we bring 3 to the other side, we're left with x minus 2 is equal to 5. And exactly, we're going to multiply by 3. So what is 5 times 3 going to be? Good. Now I can drop the brackets because there's nothing else around them. So we get x minus 2 equals 15. How would I bring negative 2 to the other side of the equation? Well, if it's negative on this side,
Oh, plus 2.
yeah, plus 2. So we're going to get x equals 15 plus 2. So x is going to be what in this question? That's right. X is 17. We'll do another example here, okay? We'll do another one here. Okay, so question B.
The teacher times.
So, if we're going to multiply these, we're going to make this bracket here into a fraction, okay? So I'm going to make it like it's over 1. And then when we multiply fractions, you remember the rules? We multiply the top by the top and the bottom by the bottom, okay? So when we do that, we're going to get 4 is equal to, I'm not going to do the multiplying yet, I'm just going to leave it as negative 2 times p minus 2, like distributive property, right? And what's 3 times 1? 3. So now we're divided by 3. How do I move 3 to the other side of the equation?
3 minus. Negative.
What does this fraction stand for? What operation?
Division.
Yeah.
Oh,
So when,
4 times 2.
yeah, that's right. So we get 4 times 3 is going to be equal to negative 2 p minus 2. So 4 times 3 will give us our, yep, equals negative 2 p minus 2. Now, we want to isolate the brackets. So I want to move this negative 2. This negative 2 says negative 2 times those brackets. How would I move the if it's multiplied by?
Negative 2. Oh, negative 2 divided.
Yeah.
12 divided by negative 2.
That's right. So we get this 12, and we're going to divide by negative 2 is equal to p minus 2. So 12 divided by negative 2, you know what it is? Negative 6 equals p minus 2. And then how do we get to the 2 to the other side?
2 minus 6. Or 6
Yes.
minus 2.
Is it going to be minus?
It's negative 6 plus 2.
Yes, that's right. The 2 is going to become positive on the other side of the equation. Yeah. Positive or negative 4?
Negative.
So p is negative